Hello, this is DC Hammer, and this is the DC Hammer Show. So let's get right into it. The Geller Report, that's Pamela Geller's reporting piece, indicates the troops celebrating as the United States-backed force seizes ISIS camp in Syria. So as I've been reporting all this year, the military forces in Syria that are backed by President Trump's military have been making enormous gains on ISIS. And if you go back to the day before President Trump was sworn in as President of the United States, January 19, 2017, the ISIS force that was created by Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton, other players such as No Name McCain, if you believe in that's the genesis of how Fast and Furious arms moved from the United States to Mexico, from Mexico to Libya, from Libya to Turkey, Turkey to Syria, and into the hands of what became ISIS. It appears that the final vestiges of control of ISIS in that area in Syria, that little area near Idlib, is coming to an end. The U.S.-backed forces seized a camp, and including in this group of terrorists that they were able to overwhelm and capture were the suspects in a January bombing that killed 4 Americans in northern Syria. So the taking of this ISIS camp is a major movement towards the end and complete defeat of the caliphate. And this is in the area of Baghouz. It's the last village that's being held, but they're holding out to the death because, again, they believe that fighting to the death is what Allah would want them to do, and they're perfectly willing to do it. And so it appears that the Syrian forces are perfectly willing to help them get to their special heaven. Zero Hedge is reporting that in Italy, and the quote from a bus driver born in Senegal, he was quoted as saying, "I'll carry out a massacre." And so he set fire to a bus full of school children on the outskirts of Milan today. But thank God these kids were all able to get out of the vehicle before it was engulfed in flames, and none of them perished. And so the driver, who was born in Senegal but now living in Italy and has a criminal record. Imagine that. So you've got somebody that's brought in from North Africa, has a criminal record, and you allow him to drive a school bus full of children. But, again, God's hand appears to be on these people, on the kids, at least. And so, as this Senegali terrorist attempted to burn the children alive, all of them were able to get out. And after the fire was put out, you can see the hulk of the bus. There's nothing left but the metal frame. And he was protesting because Italy is finally stepping up and refusing to allow ships with these people coming in from North Africa and the Middle East into Italy. And so this was his way of expressing his discontent with what Matteo Salvini, Italy's interior ministry, has been doing to clamp down on this kind of movement. But again, in the United States, I'm sure the Democrats would say that this poor gentleman from Senegal just needs to be allowed right in. The Washington Examiner is reporting Mexicans have been arrested in Tijuana for stealing the razor wire from the top of the border fence. So this article highlights the need for a true barrier, an impenetrable, indestructible barrier between the United States and Mexico on the southern border, because these makeshift fences, even with razor wire, are not enough to keep the people on the southern side of the fence from trying to steal that razor wire. And it's interesting that the people that were arrested were mainly Mexican citizens, and most of them have already been deported from the United States. And they're people that have problems with drug addiction and live mostly on the street. So they were stealing the razor wire apparently to sell to get drugs. So as previously reported in another broadcast, we indicated that the Defense Department has now identified over $12.8 billion that they can move from other programs that haven't been spent in order to complete that border wall. And so President Trump, now that the declaration of the national emergency has gone through, and he can continue to build, they're already building projects that are well underway along the border to finish the fence. And wacky nut jobs and Democrats, Democrats, will not prevent us from prevailing, from President Trump from securing us from the invasion from the south. And so I'm sure that this area will be on the lower end of the list for things that need to be accomplished, as those open areas in near El Paso, the 22,000 acre of land apparently owned by a relative of Beto O'Rourke, needs to be a point of concentration first, but this I'm sure will be added to the list of things to do. PJ Media is reporting that the Supreme Court has ruled with the Trump administration that they can detain illegal alien criminals at any time. So dissect that. It has to go all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States in order to affirm that the officials of the United States have the ability to detain criminals who are illegal aliens at any time. Go back 5 or 10 years and think to yourself how unimaginable it would be to even have to push an issue to the Supreme Court to get a ruling to affirm that we can protect ourselves from criminal, illegal aliens. Unbelievable. It barely passed, and I'm surprised Chief Roberts came through and was the deciding factor in the 5-4 decision. This overrules the lunatic Ninth Circuit Court. Thankfully, President Trump is continuing on to at least get a few rational constitutionalists embedded into the Ninth Circuit Court after all these years of leftist lunacy. So they're closing up loopholes in the laws. They're continuing to rule in favor of President Trump keeping us safe. And once again, this provides the Ninth Circuit Court with another repudiation of their far left and unconstitutional rulings. Thank you for watching and listening, and God bless. And now the DC Hammer Show is available as an audio podcast. Just go to Podcast Garden or iTunes and search for DC Hammer or News Narrative Analysis Associates, NNAA.